Our minds are a battlefield, and the battle for your life is always won in your minds. We're going to talk about that today. It is a full serving Friday of the Daily Bread. My name is Brad. Welcome to the Daily Bread. I want you to picture a battle, right? With two opposing sides, okay? Now imagine the people on one side of that battle, okay, don't realize they're involved in a battle. The enemy is attacking and they're taking them out, right? Picking them off all along. And this is this epic battle, right? This Game of Thrones type of thing. But one side doesn't realize that they're actually in a battle. It's hard to imagine, right? It's absurd. There they are. They're on the battlefield. They've got their weapons. They're ready to go. And they don't realize that they're in a battle. But every day, we are engaged in a battle, and sometimes we're not aware of it. You may not recognize the battle that is going on, that is wreaking havoc in your life. You ever wonder why you can't shake a habit? You ever wonder why you can't establish a habit? Do you ever wonder why you can't accomplish a goal? You ever feel or wonder why you can't connect spiritually in some sort of way with God or whoever it is you believe in? Do you ever wonder why you lose your temper so easily? Why you make bad decisions? Why things just aren't going your way? Why you fight? Why you're consumed with worry? Why you're consumed with fear? Why you're consumed with negativity? There's a reason why, and that is because up here there's a battle going on and you don't even recognize that there's a battle happening, right? Your mind is a war zone. Jay Shetty says it's called the monkey brain, right? It just kind of goes all chaotically, right? Craig Groeschel says that there's a war in our brains and we are constantly under attack. And it's critical for us to recognize that those things are happening. I always tell people the first step to change is awareness, right? And so we have to become aware of the battle that is raging in our minds. I love what Craig Groeschel says in his book. It's called, hold on, let me think about it. Winning the War in Your Mind. He says this. He says, you cannot change what you do not confront. Wow, think about that. You cannot change what you do not confront. Yesterday on the Daily Bread, we talked about change, right? And how we don't like it. But at the same time, there are times when we have to change things. And you cannot change the things that you do not confront. You cannot change fear, anxiety. You cannot change worry. You cannot change that irritability. You cannot change that disconnect that you have in your spirit with your spirituality, all right, with God, if you do not confront it, if you do not become aware that your mind is in a battle and you need to get your butt on the battlefield, right? If you ignore the battle, what happens? You lose it. You lose the battle if you ignore it. Anxiety will take over. Worry will take over. Fear will take over. You will lose the battle. The enemy will have won. You will not feel close to God. Right? You're like, I don't feel connected to God. I can't feel connected to God. And yet, you do not confront what's keeping you away and disconnected from God. Your schedule, your busy schedule. I mean, come on. If you looked at your schedule, do you actually leave time for prayer, for meditation, for reading scripture, whatever that scripture is? tending to your spiritual and mental wellness? Because if you're not, then you're not confronting it. You're not in the battle, right? I love what the Apostle Paul writes in the Christian scriptures in the New Testament in the book of Ephesians. He says this: we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of an unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in heavenly places. Our enemy is not our boss. Our enemy is not our spouse. Our enemy is not our children, our neighbor, our dog. Right? You may not realize it, but the real enemy is up in here. All right? I love, one of my favorite lines in any movie ever is from Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects. And he says this: the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. The greatest trick fear or anxiety or worry or doubt ever played on you is convincing you it doesn't exist. And the enemy, Satan, doesn't want you to believe that the enemy exists. So the enemy works subtly, right? The enemy can plant seeds of doubt. The enemy can plant seeds of confusion, of worry, of anxiety, of depression that will continue to grow. The enemy will continue to have you look elsewhere and fill your schedule up with other things. It will call you to keep scrolling through Facebook and through social media so that you do not have time to take care of your spiritual and mental wellness. Satan is your unseen enemy, whose mission is to, as it says in John chapter 10, steal, kill, and destroy. The reason I created the Daily Bread was to show you the connection between your spiritual and mental worlds. To show you the connection between spiritual wellness and mental wellness. And this is where I believe the two combined. The enemy is a deceiver. The enemy is a liar. And Jesus even says to the people, he says, there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks in his native language, for he is a liar and the father of all lies. Your mind is raging a battle right now. Are you aware of it? If not, you can't change what you are unwilling to confront. Right? You can't change that which you're unwilling to confront. And when I was going through my mental health battles, in order to change, there were some things within me that I had to confront. And if I didn't, it wasn't going to change. So may you today have the power to change that which you can change. Well, that's all for this Full Serving Friday. Full Serving Fridays, I like to go a little bit longer than our normal 5 to 6 minute time period to give you just a little bit extra for your weekend, since we don't do the podcast on the weekends. Again, remember that these Daily Bread videos are also an audio podcast. I would love it if you would go to either Apple or Spotify in the podcasts sections and subscribe to the Daily Bread. And while you're there, if you could leave a rating and review, I would greatly appreciate it. It just helps people find the podcast easier. Share this with someone that you know. It's one of the most flattering things you could do for me. And I am humbled by all of you who continue to tune in and actually listen, learn, and grow from these. All right. Well, that's all for today, everyone. Take care. Here's to good spiritual and mental health. I'll see you on the next Daily Bread. Take care. Bye-bye.